Welcome to the Marketing Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Angie Gensler, and I teach you how to get more traffic, leads, and sales without the hustle or headache. Let's get started. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the effectiveness of Reels on social media. Now, Reels is the name that Instagram and Facebook has assigned to short form videos that are really similar to like a TikTok video. So if you're familiar with that, then you know what Reels are. Now, I've been conducting some experiments on both Facebook and Instagram over the last few months, and the results that I'm going to share with you in this episode are really quite surprising. Now, before we jump into the results, I want to give you a little bit of background on why I decided to conduct these experiments. As you know, social media trends are constantly evolving, and it's really crucial for marketers to stay ahead of the curve. So I'm always testing things and, trying to learn the latest strategies and things that work so that then I can share it with you guys and I can include it in the Social Media Content Club. And lately, all I have been seeing all over social media is everyone talking about Reels. They're acting like Reels is the golden ticket to results and growth. And I'm not sure about you, but every single time I open up Instagram, I'm met with a reel of someone claiming that they've exploded their followers and they're getting all these sales straight from Reels. And they're acting like it is really their only marketing channel that they're even using. And that's pretty much, they give this impression that they're spending all day creating these reels and that's how they're generating all their business. So I had to give it a try. I had to jump on there and see for myself, are reels really that powerful? Do these claims hold true for everyone, for every account? So I decided to run some tests to see for myself if one, reels really are a growth powerhouse, and two, to see how traditional posts compare to reels. Because reels have gained immense popularity, but are they actually delivering the engagement that so many people are out there claiming? So first, I focused my experiments strictly on Instagram and Facebook. And that's because I already have a pretty good size audience on each of those platforms, and they both operate similarly, so that I didn't have to alter my content or my captions a whole lot in order to post on both platforms. I didn't want to be posting on Instagram and then on TikTok or then on YouTube doing YouTube shorts, because each of those platforms was different enough that it created a whole lot of extra time and effort to be doing it. So it was very minimal time and effort for me to also post on Facebook and see how Facebook Reels performed. And the reason I did that is because what I was hearing from people is that there was a lot of opportunity with Facebook Reels as well. So Facebook Reels are not as advanced, maybe I'll say, as Instagram Reels. Instagram Reels have been around longer. Instagram has put more time and attention into them. The growth trajectory has been a little bit longer than Facebook Reels. So Facebook Reels is still fairly new. And because of that, there are people who are saying that there is huge opportunity with Facebook Reels. Anytime a platform introduces some new type of content for you, that is typically a good indication that that's a great way that you can grow, because that platform will prioritize that type of content. Now, the great thing about Facebook Reels right now is that everybody's obsessed with TikTok and Instagram Reels. So there's not as much competition with Facebook Reels, but Facebook is still pushing that type of content. So that's why I wanted to run the experiments on both Instagram and Facebook. Okay, so I ran the tests on both of those. I continued to post traditional posts on both of those platforms in addition to the Reels. And so by traditional posts, I mean an image with a caption. That's what I mean when I say a traditional post. Now, in addition to those traditional posts, I was sharing about 1 to 2 Reels a week over those few months that I was running these tests. And my traditional posts were a blend of photos of my family, graphics with a quote, customer testimonials, and promotions of my content and my products. And in fact, I actually used the Social Media Content Club to guide my content creation each week. So I would jump on my computer once a week and I would open up the content club, I would open up my social media scheduler and open up Canva, and I would use those to create and share that content really quickly. It was a very quick process. I also want to mention that I did a lot of research before I started this on how to get good results with Reels videos. So I read every article I could find, and then I ran a lot of micro experiments within my Reels videos. So when I was creating these Reels, I was testing the length, the style, the music versus voiceover, the type of content, and so much more, so that I could try and find a type of video that not only got results, but was really quick and easy to create. So toward the end of my experiments, I really honed it down to a one type of video that I was creating over and over, and it was providing a lot of value. So if you're curious about the type of posts, you want to see what I was posting, you can go follow me out on Instagram or on Facebook. I will put a link to both of those platforms within the show notes of this episode, so you guys can go check it out and get a feel for the type of content that I was sharing. Now, I also want to share that when I started this experiment, I expected the Reels that I was sharing to far outperform all of my other content. And quite honestly, I assumed that they were outperforming until I dug into the data and analytics, and what I discovered was actually pretty surprising. So on both Facebook and Instagram, my Reels weren't even in my top 8 posts from the past 90 days, which is crazy, because part of the reason why I expected them to outperform is because, that's what everyone is saying. All of my peers in the social media marketing expert world were saying, oh, Reels are outperforming and that's what you have to go to and you must do Reels. That was one reason why I expected them to outperform. But the second reason is when you share a reel, you can see the video views on it. And there's something about seeing that number that gives you this feeling that like, ooh, people are seeing my content. But when you share a traditional post, Facebook and Instagram don't show you the number of people who have seen that post. So you don't know that quickly. You have to then go dig into the analytics and the insights to see that data and that information. Those were two of the main reasons why I thought they would outperform. But then I dug into the analytics, and here's what I saw. On Facebook, when I sort by engagement instead of reach, so reach was very similar results, but I sorted by engagement because that's what we're really looking for on social media. We want to get engagement. And when I sorted by engagement, my top 3 posts from the last 90 days were photos of my family that included just a heartfelt caption. So my top post was a throwback image of me and Trevor from the day that we decided to start AngieGensler.com. And I wrote a caption for that image about how that moment transformed our lives. And that post outperformed every other post and reel as far as reach and engagement. And then the next 2 posts, the next 2 top performing posts were for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I just shared a photo of my family on each of those days and wished everyone a happy Thanksgiving or a Merry Christmas. And I have to say that to see that those performed so well was actually really validating, because I've been advising my customers and my listeners for years to share holiday related posts on social media. And I have entire blog posts dedicated to lists of holidays that you could celebrate on social media. It's built into the social media content club. So the exciting thing was that my results showed that, yes, holiday posts are continuing to outperform all other types of content. So if you are not sharing holiday posts, I've got a lot of resources to help you out, okay? So I will link in the show notes my lists of holidays that you can celebrate on social media. And then I'll also share a link out to the social media content club so you can start a free trial and check that out. And within the social media content club, I provide you with done for you content celebrating holidays. You'll get post prompts, images, ideas, all centered around different holidays. Okay, so those 3 posts that I just shared were amongst the top performing. Okay, so it was photos of me or my family and a heartfelt post. That was the top performer. The next type of top performing post were inspiring quotes. Now, while these didn't outperform the family photos, they held their ground as the second best performers. And it's really interesting to me that motivational content still holds such significant sway and impact, and the exciting thing about this is that the images that I was sharing were insanely simple. I actually just used the copy and paste feature from the Social Media Content Club to make these quote posts. So I selected the quote. I chose the plain white image with the black text that is provided within the Social Media Content Club. I copied the caption that's provided, and then I pasted it into my social media scheduling app. So this took maybe 2-3 minutes to do at most. Then I made a few tweaks to the caption to personalize it to my voice, and then I scheduled it out to go to both Facebook and Instagram. And these were by far the easiest posts I made because I literally just copy and pasted them from the Social Media Content Club. And they were my second best performing type of posts. So that was really exciting to see that you can still get incredible reach and engagement with this really simple content. Now, it does need to be mindful. So they were inspiring motivational quotes. The caption was a heartfelt caption that would kind of grab to people's emotions, their desires, their dreams. And this is the type of content that is included daily within the Social Media Content Club. Now, let's move on and address the elephant in the room, and that is Reels. How did my Reels perform in comparison to my other types of content? So my experiments revealed that Reels performed last in terms of engagement for my audience. Now, it's essential to understand that this might vary based on your niche and your demographics, okay? So every single audience is very unique and very different. So take what I'm saying with a bit of a grain of salt, but use it to direct your own tests and your own experiments, okay? But for me, the static image posts are still outperforming and taking the lead. They are still performing better than Reels. So for me, I'm going to use this data and stop putting so much time and attention and energy into Reels because I'm going to be honest, they do take more time to create. Now, there are strategies to make it easier. And if you guys want, reach out to me and let me know because I can put together resources. Maybe it's a podcast episode or a cheat sheet or maybe even a playbook that I can create for you on ways to make creating these reels and short form videos much quicker and easier. So I have strategies to make that process simple. But at the end of the day, it is still easier to just share some sort of image or graphic with a caption. That is a much faster, easier strategy. So I was thrilled by this data because it meant, okay, I don't have to put so much time and energy into these videos. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing video. Because the other thing to keep in mind is, which I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast episode, is that social media is constantly evolving and changing, and there's always a new trend. And the trend right now is short form video. So while traditional posts are still outperforming Reels for me, that doesn't mean that will forever be the case. So I think for me, I'm going to continue with a blend. So I will focus still more on traditional type content and image with a caption. And then I'll pepper in maybe one reel, maybe 2 a week, depending on, how quickly I can get a process down to create them easily. But it's not going to be the sole focus of my time and energy with my social media content. Okay, so what can we learn from these experiments that I ran? So I have a few key takeaways for you. So the first key takeaway is that it's really important to understand your own audience. So while Reels may be all the buzz and everyone's talking about them and everyone claims that, that's where it's all at and you must go there, it's really important to tailor your content to what resonates best with your unique audience. So I tried it with my own audience and found out that, Reels really aren't what speaks to my audience. It's still that traditional post, an image or a graphic with a caption. That's what's resonating with my specific audience. So experimentation is key, but don't be afraid to stick with what works for you and your brand. You don't need to be chasing down these shiny objects and chasing what everyone else says works for them. Experiment and then focus on what works for you. And the second key takeaway is that what is working today may or may not work 6 months from today. So while I ran these experiments and I discovered that, okay, my traditional posts are still working great, it's easier for me to create them, so I'm going to alter my strategy so that I'm focusing on those traditional posts. I'm going to pull back a little bit on the reels, but I should not just do this blindly for the next year or 2 years because social media is constantly evolving. It's ever changing. So I'm going to continue to look at the data about once a month and see, okay, are these traditional posts still outperforming my reels? So I am going to pull back on the reels, but I'm still going to continue to create them on occasion because I still want to have some data in there to show me, are they still performing worse than my traditional posts? Or maybe it's 6 months from now, I'll find out that, my reels are actually doing better than traditional posts, and then I can switch my strategy around. So do some experiments, stick with what works best with your audience, but keep tracking that data and keep evolving your strategy as the channels evolve, as your audience grows and evolves, okay? That wraps up today's episode on whether you should be sharing reels on social media. Now, I hope my experiments provided valuable insights for your marketing strategy and helped clear up maybe some of your confusion or your fears about whether you should be doing reels or not. And before we part ways, remember that perseverance, not perfection, is the key to success. If you keep taking action, your success is inevitable. I'm cheering you on. If you liked this episode and learned something new, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And if you haven't given the Social Media Content Club a try yet, head over to angiegensler.com/content club to start your 7-day trial of done for you copy and paste content directly from your phone. You're going to love it. Well, that's it for today. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode.